Hello and welcome to my channel on human design. And today we're going to continue with the questions. Thank you very much, all the viewers sending in questions. It's really incredible what you send in and the questions that you send to me. I really appreciate it. And let's get going. All right, the first question is from Patricia, and she says, I'm an emotional being in my second year of the experiment, and I've recently seen the attached quote from Ra. My question is about this being correct in your design. The quote says, if you're correct, you can even kill someone and it's still correct. How should we understand this? I know we shouldn't try to control emotions, but should we not control the actions that could be harming others? It'd be mayhem if the whole society lived like this. It concerns me deeply as a 4-6 emotional being with gates 8 and 27. I'm not sure how to proceed with this, really. Ra was such a heretic, such a rebel. So my understanding of what he said, he's not saying that, we're going to go out and everyone's going to be killing each other. But he has talked many times about this particular time having so many people that all the varieties or the majority of varieties of what can be in terms of a human being are incarnated. And that includes natural born killers, because they do exist. I know, I've met them. And it is correct for some. It is. Now, in what scenario? This doesn't mean they're going to go and rampage, but just think about it. There was a time in human history when we needed our warriors, when we needed the protection from the warriors, where we needed the ability of those people to kill. And if you look at the wheel of human design, the second gate in after the 13th gate of the witness returns, we have the 49th gate, which is, yes, emotional principles, but also it is this ability to be the killer. I'm not saying it's just that gate. Please don't misinterpret that. There are other gates, there are other forms. That is not a definition of a natural born killer, but it is a key word of butcher in terms of the butcher who sacrifices the lambs in order for us to eat. So killing is part of our history. It's part of our nature. And indeed, at this time, it is in the world. I mean, it is. We're not all out there to kill each other, but it is in the mix of what it is to be human. And some have more of that than others. Okay, thank you for that. Interesting question to start off with. The next one is from Frederica in Madrid. And she asks, I have done readings for a lot of people that I personally know and who have gone through drug addictions. And this has raised two questions. Would this have something to do with some kind of conditioning on open centers, such as the solar plex or the spleen? Or is there a way that this could be reflected somehow on the body graph? Since I know some on a personal level, I know that the addictions have been part of their path, but haven't been able to identify them on their charts. Well, yes, there is a way of seeing a propensity to addiction in the chart. And it's not to say it's the only place, but it is very clearly tied up with the channel of insatiability, the channel of judgment, wanting to perfect things, wanting to make things better, wanting to refine things. It is addictive. It is insatiable. And people with the 58 or the 18 or even the full channel, I've noticed, do have that tendency. It's not like everyone that has it is going to be an addict, but insatiability is insatiability. And if you think about it as a root system that's moving into the spleen, looking for the feel-good factor, yeah, you can feel good and want to keep feeling good. and welcome to the world of addiction. So that's where I would look, and that's one of the places. There is also an inherent insatiability within the logical system of something that is incredibly endless and interesting, such as human design. I mean, human design is pretty addictive, and you yourself are an addict of human design, as I am. Is it a bad thing? I don't think so. Some may think so, but I don't think so. So I would also say that not all addictions are to be seen in the negative. Okay, so thank you for that question. The other second part of the question was, is there a way of seeing homosexuality in the chart itself? Ra was asked this on different occasions, and all I can say to you is there is nothing definitive out there. When I mean definitive, I mean something that you can see it within the pattern in a very regular, reliable way. So no, I don't see there's a way of seeing that in the chart itself. There's a way of perhaps thinking about it when you're looking at the whole chart, depending on what the nurturing has been as well. So we've got the nature and we've got the nurture. So it may be something to do with the nurture, but I'm no expert on that, and I can't see it there. And he never clearly said it is this or that. He talked about it, but nothing definitive. So another fun question, and this is one from Rowan. And Rowan asks, how do you explain the apparent contradiction of Donald Trump having a completely open G center? Doesn't this contradict human design theory? And Violetta Nomar also commented on that. She says, hi, I was looking at the comments and got hit by a brainwave while reading yours. I hope you won't mind if I share my thoughts. I think that open G can somehow be a shapeshifter and please different people exactly because of that. It could be a bit like, I'll be what you want me to be, and you'll see me as you want to see me. A defined is already defined and will be what it is consistently. Food for thought. Okay, so I kind of like to keep out of politics, generally speaking, because it is quite a minefield. But in speaking directly to your question about Donald Trump, yes, he does have a completely open G. You can see the chart that I've just put up. And indeed, there is no fixed sense of identity for Donald. And yes, he does have the money line. So I think he defined his identity by saying, I'm a winner. He wants to be a winner. And he has been winning rather a lot in his life. He's been very, very successful. So there is that. Now, when it comes to, why is it contradictory to human design theory? It's funny, I never think about human design as a theory. You're right, of course. But I think of it in terms of a science, because if you can validate things again and again and again, it's like, well, there's the evidence. So I don't think of it as a theory, but yeah, one could do. So in his case, we can say, yeah, he's got a completely open G, but at the same time, we have the 29 and we have the 33 that are looking towards it. And in Rave psychology, this sets up a sensitivity and a propensity towards, in his case, the abstract circuitry. So hitting in on the 13 and the 46. That's not to say it's in the chart, but certainly with the 33 looking back, reflecting on the past, you can say that he's someone who would be resonant to looking back into the past in terms of, who he wants to be. And you're right, the open G will be whoever they need to be. They will take on identities. They will play them out. It's really quite a mystery. You know, they can get confused with themselves and other people as well. So, yeah, it's really quite a mystery. But in his case, because of the abstract influence, you know, he resonates to a time when things were not quite as chaotic as they are at the moment. And you know, would he make a good president? So he talks about law and order being really important. You can see he's got the 1762. So this is really, you know, it's a rational mind, and it's a mind that can really think things through. It's an organized mind. And you know, someone coming in to be a president who already has a fixed G, you know, will be a president with those aspects. That's the kind of president they will be. With Donald Trump, because it's so open, I mean, he will be taking in influences from all around him, but he's also going to be judging them. And he's also going to be measuring them in terms of, you know, if he wants to be here on behalf of the people rather than be the president. The G always wants to, and the not self G always wants to be someone. And they're whoever they need to be. It's an amazing thing. So if Donald Trump identifies himself as being a winner, and he's here to be the president on behalf of the people to make America great again, which is the MAGA thing that you know, then he's probably a good man for it, I would have thought. I don't think it's contradictory at all. You know, no open G is here to be the same being all the time. But if you've got a material path in you, in the money line, and you've got a rational mind, and you've got the mating channel to make more, you know, to find out what is fruitful and to grow it, and to be able to move through the change in the channel of transitoriness, which he also has. I mean, yes, it can be quite a roller coaster, but at the same time, it's going to depend on who's around him. And if he's got good people around him, then he'll be a good president. If he hasn't got good people around him, then he's not going to be a good president, because they are going to be influencing him. So it depends on your political point of view and how you see the world, of what you think about that, and you think about his decisions. But there's no contradiction in terms of the science. He seems to be very full of himself. You know, maybe he's overcompensating for not having a sense of identity, but you know, you give an open G a label, and they, you know, they want to become that, whether in the not self anyway. So let's just hope he benefits America, and he benefits the people. That's what I hope. So I hope that answered your question. Thank you for asking it. And we'll see if we can get more views having Donald Trump in the search. Thank you. Next question is from Martina, and her tagline is "Decided to be happy," which I really enjoy. And she asks, what does it mean if you have a gate on the conscious side 3 or even more times? Has it more power? For example, I have conscious 43.2 in the Sun, 43.4 in Venus, and 43.2 again in Jupiter. I also do have the 23.2, the right angle cross of explanation. And I want to know more about this. Well, we know that the black gates are the gates that we identify as ourselves. We identify with that. We're conscious of them. You will be conscious of the insights that come through you. And yes, it's not more power, it's more emphasis. It's more weight on that particular gate in those particular frequencies, especially in the 43.2. And the 2 and the 4 are dissonant. So there's also thinking and rumbling around in terms of how to structure your knowing from 2 different ways. So yeah, you've got the Genius to Freak channel and the insights, what it is that you know. Can you explain it in a way that the people that you're speaking to can understand what you're saying? And you know yourself that the insights can come in suddenly, and at the same time, it is often of benefit to allow them to settle, allow yourself to structure how you're going to translate that knowing to others, and that is part of your process. But yeah, you're here to have many unique insights, and to see the world through the way that you see the world. And as you know, the 4323 is there to be invited out by those people who are open to your knowing. Not everyone is going to be open to individual knowing. I mean, it's just a fact. But if you can show the efficiency that's within that channel, and the original insight is something that is really pertinent to the person or whatever's going on, the problem being dealt with, then yeah, people are going to listen to you. And, the insight is there 3 times. So it's certainly got a weight in your chart that can be profound. All right, thank you very much for that question. The next question is from Flo, and she asks, does the aura type change if the North Node activates a new definition in the second half of life? I know 2 friends who behaved like a projector until the Uranus opposition, and then they started acting like a generator. The North Node activated their sacral. I also have nodal examples where they came from being a reflector to a projector, or from projector to manifester. They all had enormous change of lifestyle after their midlife crisis. Is it possible to have a change of type during the lifetime? And there's some feedback from Leah El Bazi as well on this in the comments. So basically, no, the type does not change. You have the type that you were born with. That is your type. And your question is particularly about the nodal, what comes in the nodes, what comes in the path of that person during that cycle. It doesn't make them a new type, but if there's energy gates coming in, then it does imply that there is going to be this energy within the road that they walk. That doesn't mean they're a different type, though. I mentioned when I talked about the cycles last week, I mentioned a time when Ra, as a manifester, had the sacral activated in the transit field, and that's when he did a lot of very detailed work on human design. But he was still a manifester. It would still have been exhausting to do that much work. I mean, he could get it done, but that didn't make him a generator. So it's good to just be clear about that. And yes, you can see a change in the lifestyle of people when the cycles come in, but it does not mean it's a new aura or a new type. Thank you for the question. Final question from Merly Pearly. And Merly Pearly asks, is it possible that there is also unhealthy conditioning in the defined centers? That's a really good question. And what I would say is that, yes, even where you are defined, you can be operating incorrectly. I remember seeing this in a client that came to me that had all 4 motors and was a manifesting generator with the busy channel, very, very powerful design. And he was burnt out. And it's like, well, wow, all that power and that you're burnt out. I mean, you could say, yeah, he has a will and the will needed rest and the sacral doesn't rest, and therefore he would be busy, busy, busy and ignoring the body going, oh, just want to rest. Give me a break. Give me a break. That's possible. If I take that as an example, manifesting generator with the 3420, here to be busy, but they're here to be busy about what they love. If you're pushing against resistance, if you're busy about work that is unsatisfying, but you're doing it just for the money, and you want more and more money, and you're not following your own sacral response, then yeah, it can really impact the energy. And that is in fact what happens. If you've got a sacral and you take on a job that involves a lot of small detailed work, yet you don't have the 9th gate and you don't have the 62nd gate, and you're not designed for that kind of work, but you push on through it because you're getting a paycheck. I mean, not to undermine getting a paycheck. It is, after all, important to sustain yourself in the material world. But still, it will grind down the ability to be available for what you're really available for. It's an example of using the energy incorrectly. And to answer your question regarding conditioning, it's not in that sense conditioning from the outside, unless the nurturing of the life was that. Maybe this guy, or an example we're thinking of, has really got a very strict parents that force them to overachieve or whatever, and they use that energy for that and had success with that, and then just kept on and on and on and on against their nature in other fields. Then you can think of that as a kind of conditioning from the outside, but not in terms of them obviously taking in someone else's sacral or taking in someone else's will, because in this case they have their own. So yes, the nurturing, we are nature and nurture, and if the nurturing is against the nature, then you see all kinds of twists, all kinds of pathologies, all kinds of misery, which is why there is human design, to be able to help people to see their nature and to come back to that and to enter into the experiment. So that can be, you can work through that. You can begin to notice and to pay attention to what is beneath the mind, what is your inner authority, and slowly, slowly, things begin to let go, and we come back. If you can understand, if people can understand that we do have a nature, we do have a way to live that can be seen in the chart, and to realize that's us, that's the way to live, whether our mind agrees or not, whether society agrees or not, that is the way through. At least that's what I know. Okay, well, thank you very much for all the questions, and keep them coming. I do appreciate it, and love to hear the comments, because you are also enjoying this, because it is fun, isn't it? We've no idea what's going to come up. Okay, so please like, share, and subscribe this. That would be of great help, and I'll be back again next week with something completely different. Bye for now.